This is not Bob Staunton, genius broadcaster and throat-clearing phlegm spitter. Are you intelligent? If not, then subscribe and like the Tommy Boyds Shrine YouTube channel. This show is all about the pestilence which is swans. I don't mind the big white buggers. They taste even better with a drop of homemade gravy with a splash of apple cider vinegar.
Tommy Boyd.
Before we pick on a dumb, defenseless creature and give it, well, quite frankly, its just deserves, between now and 4 o'clock, a notion you haven't heard before, but the minute you hear it, you will wonder why it's never occurred to you, because it is that obvious, that profound, and that right, R-I-G-H-T, and there's nothing wrong with feeling right when right you are. I want to talk about swans. Swans. There's no living thing on Earth that has ever been extended, the kind of nonsensical, thank you, no thank you, courteous, kind of like almost deity-like worship that the swan gets. It's payback time for the swans. We as a human race have had a go at wolves and rabbits and foxes, and we've done away with wolves in this country, and we nearly did away with rabbits. And people are fighting back because foxes allegedly have had a hard time for a long time. And we do what we want with chickens, and we do what we want with pigs and cows and horses. And dogs and cats will just take us as they find us. But swans, for some reason, swan through lives, swan through our towns, they swan through our culture. And I just don't understand why. I was told as a boy that a swan will break your arm with its wing, one beat of its wing, if you go too near it. I don't know if that's true, but I was always very wary of swans. Can a swan break your arm with one beat of its wing? I would doubt it. I know they can give you a nip because if you feed them bread, and, you know, it's an easy life being a swan, isn't it? You get fed bread. There's plenty of fish in the river. You can annoy as many fishermen and anglers and riverboatmen as you like. And if anybody so much as chucks a pebble in the water near you, right, then the Queen sends someone round. This is my point. The Queen sends somebody round. They are, to the best of my knowledge, along with the royal sturgeon, protected by the Crown. Why? Why? Free call 0500 1053 89. Danny Kaye and Hans Christian Andersen and plenty of other manufacturers of greetings cards and image makers in children's literature have told us time and time again that the swan is the most beautiful animal in Britain. It's not. You look into its face, and it is an evil-looking you-know-what. It's got those furrowed eyebrows and that orange bill with some black across it. It really looks as though it's chewing a bumblebee. And when they come towards you on the mudflats because they think you've got a bit of bread and you've got your 3-year-old with you, or worse, you've got your spaniel, you know, your heart skips a beat. And yet we are told over and over again to revere these creatures, which, and let me get to another point, taste pretty good, so I'm told. Okay? Exactly. Feed an unemployed family for a week, wouldn't they? And what a lovely duvet you'd have. Free call 0500 1053 89. Are you an angler? Do you go fishing at the weekend? Swans ruin it for you, don't they? Because people come up behind you and talk loudly about making sure that you don't leave any of your lead weights on the riverbank because swans swallow them. Do they? Do they really? And then there's your fishing line, which costs a fortune, doesn't it? And the swans go straight through it and haul it away, and you can't haul them in because, again, you'd be up before the Queen. Free call 0500 1053 89. It's payback time for swans. And we might get round to this. I don't know, it's up to you. Flamingos aren't much better. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
0500 1053 89.
Payback time for swans. John calls from Staffordshire. You're on Talk Radio. John, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
John,
Hi, yes, I just want to talk about this wing beat that can break your arm thing. Well, all I can think that happened was a man once, or a woman, once discovered that a swan's wing beat was very strong, and said, well, it's that strong that if it was to hit an arm,
Yes.
it could break it.
Yes.
But I just can't believe that the swan has ever broken someone's arm. How?
No.
How could someone's arm get in the way of its wing?
And it passes into that common piece of common parlance. It passes into that child folklore whereby everybody tells their children that if they go too close to a swan, it could break their arm with a wing.
Have you seen a 3-year-old's eyes when a swan comes towards it when they've been told this?
Ooh.
And they run.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Yeah. You stop and think about it. You know, we give animals they're just desserts, pretty much all over the place, don't we? But swans do get away with murder,
Agree? Yes.
don't they? Yeah, what is it about the swan?
Sorry?
Where did it all start? Kings used to eat them, so it didn't come down from on high.
I just can't believe that we don't eat them. That's the one thing that surprises me.
No.
Because they're so much bigger. Surely there'd be so much more meat on them.
A lot of meat on them. I've never eaten swan. I've never seen swan on a menu anywhere. I'd like to talk to anybody who has. I'd like to talk to anybody who knows just why they have been given the status they've been given. It's quite medieval, isn't it? Margaret calls from Evesham. You're on Talk Radio. Margaret, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes,
Margaret.
I have actually seen a swan break somebody's arm.
No.
I was at boarding school between 1965 and 70 in Rickmansworth, and we had an island where swans used to nest. And we were always told when they were nesting, don't go across the island. When it got hot, you used to try and paddle in this little pondy lake thing. I think her name was Elizabeth Skinner. If she's listening, she might remember it. I'm sure it was her. But we actually had it happen. The swan came towards her, beating its wings. She put her arms up to defend herself, and it snapped her arm.
No.
Yeah. I think there was Maya and Megan Evans, I think, were there at the time.
Right.
And a couple of others.
So these creatures then, which attack children.
Yeah.
If that had been a Rottweiler, well, we know what would have happened, don't we?
Yeah.
It would have been taken off to the vets, and it would have been
classified wild animals, aren't
put to sleep. Well, so are lions and tigers, but if they do anybody in, then 9 times out of 10, they get a bullet, don't they?
Yeah.
So how have swans got away with all this then? They're dangerous animals, they hurt children, they attack children. They haven't killed anybody, have they? Do we know?
I've not heard of that, no.
Have we ever heard of a swan killing anybody? I'd like to know. Free call 0500 1053 89. So how do they get away with it then? Because they're pretty. And because they haven't got teeth or claws. And because they look serene?
Yeah.
It's all an act, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're killers. They might be the most dangerous wild animal in Britain, are they? Apart from the adder.
No, that black cat.
Oh, well, that's allegedly, isn't it?
Oh, all right.
You're here to, sorry, you can't hop off onto black cats now. You've just done swans in.
Okay. Well, I live in Worcestershire, so we're meant to be having it round here at the moment. So.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Are you really? I'd like to believe, but I can't. I know there are wallabies loose, not far from where we live.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be a Cobner orangutan.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, not heard of that one.
I've spoken to a man who claims he's seen it. An electricity engineer was putting a pylon through a wood. And he said he looked up in a tree, and there was what appeared to be an old, red-headed man in a raincoat.
Sounds like one, doesn't it?
But then it set off through the trees. And he realised that it wasn't a raincoat, it had red hair.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
Okay.
Thanks for your call.
Yep, bye.
Free call 0500 1053 89. What is the worst bird we've got? They're all pretty lousy, aren't they, really? Most of our birds are a nuisance, or they're ugly, or they frighten other birds. Crows frighten magpies, frighten thrushes. You never see a thrush anymore. Our wildlife in Britain is terrible. It's the most boring in the world. By a long, 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 long way. France has wolves. So does Norway. Norway have snow wolves. They have bears in Italy, don't they, in the Pyrenees? They do. And wild boars and stuff. We don't. And Spain has wild boars. We don't. Our wildlife is... Look at our birds. They're all brown. Apart from swans. And we're just rewriting the book on those between now and 4. Phil calls from Manchester. You're on Talk Radio, Phil.
Hello, Tommy. I can tell you categorically that swans are very tasty.
Aha.
I used to be a New Age traveller a few years ago.
Yeah.
And one flew into a bridge and broke its neck. And no one seemed to want to do anything with it, so it back to the site, and it fed about 14, 15 people.
You New Age travellers, eh? What are you like?
It was gorgeous. It's like steak. No wonder the Queen wants to keep them for herself.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was watching a nature programme a couple of weeks ago, and it said they had no idea where this thing about swans breaking people's arms comes from. It's absolutely impossible.
So what do you do now? What do you do now, Phil, now that you're not a New Age traveller anymore?
Sociology student. We have spoken before. I used to be homeless when you were doing the thing about beggars.
So you are a former New Age traveller, former homeless beggar, now sociology student?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Well, good for you.
I think it's possible that the thing about Swan's majesty and stuff like that comes from the fact that Zeus turned himself into a swan to make love to
He did,
Swan,
didn't he?
I think it possibly comes from there.
He did. And did you ever see Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
What, as a New Age traveller? I thought you didn't have tellies.
Well, I do now.
Oh, right, okay. But they're all swans, aren't they? All the allies in Flash? Oh, they're swans.
The swan
people
eagles,
of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't the eagle men the...
Maybe they were. Maybe they were.
Oh, well.
They were swan-like. Prince Baron, Brian Blessed, and all that lot.
Yeah.
They have a particular... You see, what my beef is this. There's a pun here. They have a particular place in lore and in folklore, swans.
Yeah.
And you know, the lore is medieval. The folklore is probably pre-medieval, and yet here we are today still worshipping them somehow. And they're only other animals, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we eat ostriches, and, the meat's exactly the same, and, they're pretty much flightless swans, really. The same stuff. I find swans ugly, personally.
You get farms around Britain, don't you, now trying to farm ostriches?
Yeah.
Why don't they, there are all the problems involved there with catching them and killing them, I'm told.
Well, I've been to a restaurant that serves ostrich meat regularly now, because they can't serve beef on the bone.
But your friendly local abattoir will tell you that ostriches are not easy to dispatch.
I would imagine not. They're big things, aren't they? They're absolutely huge.
Yes. I was having a chat with a chap who was interested in getting into ostrich farming, and the conversation came round to how you do dispatch an ostrich. And he said, you decapitate them.
Yeah, I would think, yeah.
But he said it's very difficult to do that because it takes about 8 blokes.
I mean, snow geese are more beautiful in flight than swans are, and they're very clumsy swimmers, really.
Who are, sorry?
Pardon?
Who did you say are clumsy?
Snow geese.
Snow geese.
Sort of more beautiful to watch flying, than swans.
Geese
very rarely see
geese are better than swans. Geese are apparently very good security.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
And Rome, didn't they wake somebody up when Rome was being attacked?
I don't know.
They did. Geese once saved ancient Rome because the barbarians were creeping up the hill, and they had geese inside the wall, and the geese heard the barbarians creeping up, and all Rome was, and the geese.
Oh, and imagine that. The traveller site we used to live on, the guy down the road was the local magistrate, and he owned the scrapyard as head guard geese. Check it out, see how vicious they were. So.
I bet the magistrate loved having some New Age travellers round.
He thought it was great, actually.
Did you really?
He used to sell us cheap cars.
Cheap cars?
Yeah, it's bits and pieces to put together to get around in. So.
Did you tax and insure them and everything, being New Age travellers?
No.
No.
Tax, insurance, what's that?
Yeah. You and the city folk.
Yeah.
And then the wife of the leader of the opposition. But anyway.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Tom.
No, thank you. Anytime. Free call 0500 10 53 89 is the telephone number. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Controlling transmission. This is Talk Radio.
Let's have a word with Dave, who calls from Surrey. Dave, I have a problem with swans, don't you?
No, I love the blighters. I think if you can't appreciate the swan, then you've obviously got no real appreciation of grace and beauty.
It's so superficial to think swans are wonderful.
How can it be superficial to appreciate beauty?
They just
it's an innate human instinct. I mean, I often take my dog for a walk along the canal, and I must say I'm rarely, if ever, struck by the variety and majesty of the British wildlife. But at least, when you see a few swans coming along, you think, don't they look splendid? And if they weren't protected, you'd deprive me of that small pleasure. I'd have absolutely nothing to look at or to distract me at all.
Not at all. I'm not saying we should go after swans. I'm saying we should get them in perspective.
If they weren't protected, they'd probably be wiped out. Like you say, I'm sure you'd get a fine meal from a fully grown swan.
Emotionally and mentally, they're gruesome. Gruesome.
No, they've got character. They've got spunk, and I admire them for that as well. I like the way you can't mess with them. And I also like the fact that when they meet a partner, they stick with them for life. I mean, how many animals could you say that about?
Stay with us, Dave. Marion has been listening in Cambridgeshire, and she wants a word. Marion, what do you think about what Dave's had to say?
I think it's rubbish, really. I used to have the same opinion of swans until a few years ago in St James's Park. I saw a swan attack a black swan ruthlessly. I mean, it just pinned it to the ground and it attacked it, and every time it tried to fly away, it came back, and it kept on, and people tried to get it away, and it was just cruel and horrible, and it really changed my opinion of them.
Cruel and horrible and racist.
Yes, exactly. I hadn't thought of that, Tommy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Dave,
well, there's bad eggs in
defend
every
your
basket,
corner if you... Oh, bad eggs in every basket. Go on.
I mean, I've seen the odd magpie do some nasty things, but I don't think they should be wiped out. I mean, of course they're aggressive, but, you know, we haven't got enough aggressive birds in this country, have we? That's one of the reasons why it's so boring, our wildlife. I mean, compared to, like, vultures or eagles, you haven't really got that much to worry about. I mean, I've been bitten by a swan. It didn't hurt at all. His babies were blocking the path, and I had to sort of, you know, bite my lip and plough straight through, and it sort of had a little nip on the leg, but it didn't hurt.
Bitten, you were billed.
It wasn't even bruised.
Go on, Marion.
All nature can be cruel. I mean, you know, all animals, they fight to survive, etc., etc., but I'm sorry, it just totally changed my opinion. You know, they were, in my eyes, they were elegant, beautiful, exactly like you say, and it, to me, that day changed it. It brought home the real swans to me. You know, that was it.
So you're saying they shouldn't be protected because of that, because you saw one beat up another swan?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we should see them for what they are. They're wild creatures, and, you know...
Which we haven't got enough of.
Yes, but you're
aesthetically pleasing ones.
You're painting this lovely picture of these beautiful creatures.
Well,
but we should.
Perfect, are they? I mean, there's no such thing as a cruel animal. They are all equally indifferent. A rabbit is as equally indifferent to suffering as a tiger.
I love all animals, and yes, they fight to survive. They etc. etc. But I have never seen such a horrible display in my life. It was horrible. And it really upset me. And
I'm going to bring Paul in, who's calling from Blackburn. Dave, you can stay there if you can take this punishment.
I'll try.
And Marion, you can hang on in, because I've got a feeling that you're going to go side to side with Paul on this one. Paul in Blackburn, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Paul, you're with Marion on this one.
I certainly am.
What's happened to you?
Creatures.
Good.
Yeah.
Nasty creatures.
Nasty.
3 weeks ago, Tommy, a friend and myself were riding on the canal on our mountain bikes. He was about 50 yards in front of me, because I'm a bit fatter and slower.
Yeah.
And this swan was in the middle of a towpath. Now, he did want to move. And he sort of got off his bike and tried to push his bike past the swan. And this swan sort of swooped on him, tried to attack him. He ended up lifting his front wheel off the floor and holding the swan off with his front wheel and trying to pin it down. Oh, and after a couple of minutes sustained attack, it sort of backed off and flew off into the water, you know.
Yeah.
But really, really aggressive.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he was taking every precaution to try and avoid it as well. Because it really sort of menacing manner it came towards him. He had its wings sort of spread out towards the floor, really, and its neck was stooped towards him, looked really aggressive.
We say, hiss off, swans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it, Marion and Paul. What do we say to swans?
Hiss off.
Dave, you've got to be turning round. You're learning things here. You're allowed to change your opinion. That's what people do.
Fair enough. I mean, they obviously... He lived on that bit of river. That was his home. How would you feel if you're, like, sitting in the back garden, reading the newspaper, and a couple of twats come hacking along on motorbikes through your backyard?
Twats?
Mountain bikes.
He's probably had his children swimming nearby. You've got your kids playing outside in the garden. You don't want people cycling through your backyard. You deserve the nip. You should have got off. You should have sort of, if you just sort of snarled at the swan a little bit, you know, shouted at it, it would have cleared off anyway, and you'd have been able to make your merry way. You've got to know how to deal with these creatures. You probably show fear as well, which is fatal.
If you can't learn to live in army, stew them.
Sorry?
Stew them.
Let's eat them.
Yeah, let's eat them.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I'm all for swan farms.
Yeah.
I think we should replace the old Christmas turkey and the Easter, whatever it is, bunny.
Now you've just been deliberately provocative. feed a family. No problem for
I
me.
think, Tommy,
Yes?
as long as people see them for what they are,
Exactly.
they're not the serene,
No.
just the serene creature.
No.
You know, there is
No.
another side to them.
They've got the most incredible PR machine going for them, haven't they? Hiss off, we say.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Dave in Surrey and all Swans. Ready, Paul and Marion? Come on, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Hiss off. I'll tell you what, just stay with us. I just want to corroborate what you were saying there about stewing them, Paul, because we have George calling from Southampton. George, you're on Talk Radio.
Oh, hi there. How you doing?
What does swan taste like?
Delicious, delicious.
How come you've tried it?
Yeah, well, when we were students, we used to go down to the Itchen with a bit of bread and a golf club, and hey presto, swan for Sunday lunch.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And why not, eh?
Well, it's part of nature's lunchbox, isn't it, really?
That's what
I'm sure
they're
the
there
Queen
for.
wouldn't begrudge it.
Well, apparently she would, you see.
Well, no, that's only just like a bit of history, isn't it, really?
Yes.
But, so if you're a student, I recommend it.
Okay, how did you do it?
Golf club.
No, I mean, how did you cook it?
Oh,
I
right.
think we understood what the golf club was for. But what did you, which bit, where
You've got to pluck them, hang them for a couple of days, let them sort of mature a bit. And because they're quite large, what we do, we cut it into quarters.
Cut it into quarters and then roast it, bit by bit.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And the down?
Well, in the dustbin, in a black bin liner.
Really, that's a bit of a waste, wasn't it?
Well,
beautiful duvets.
Anyway, I think I sort of substantiate. I fall on your side there, Tommy, don't I?
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you, George. Thanks for your call. Swans, hiss off. Paul in Blackburn, thank you too.
Thank you, Tommy.
All right. And Marion, well, good work.
Thank you.
You won that one easily.
Good.
Dave.
Tommy, you're allowed to say bastard on your show.
Say that again?
You're allowed to say
No.
No? I won't say it then.
That's
Well, that guy
okay.
that killed the swan with the golf club.
Yes.
Nasty piece of work.
Look, he was
if I'd
only
seen him doing that, they've had to take me on as well.
He was only trying to feed his family of students.
He could have gone down the butcher's.
Well, do you have any idea what students have to live on?
We could have stolen it. Anything's better than killing a swan, surely.
Yeah, but most of the animals in butcher shops have been previously killed.
Yeah, but they're not aesthetically pleasing and wild and magnificent, are they?
Well, I don't know. I quite like deer, for example.
Yeah, but you
Chickens.
could live without a few chickens here and there, couldn't you?
Turkeys.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't see them when you
My
walk the
point
dog
is
down
you're
the canal.
set in your ways. You've swallowed all this PR about swans since childhood, Dave.
No, you're just being devil's advocate again, like you were last week when you thought we should were saying we should bring back slavery.
How do you get down from an elephant?
Slide.
No, you don't. You get down from a swan.
I don't get that.
No.
But then I'm not very bright.
No, you're not.
You can explain it?
Oh, God. If anybody would like to... Let me bring Andy in. Andy may be able to. Andy in Hull, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello, is that Tommy?
Yes, can you explain the how do you get down from an elephant joke to Dave, the swan lover?
No, not particularly, Tommy.
You can't? Why not?
I'm not the only one.
Well, you don't get it? How do you get down from an elephant?
I think it's a bit of a sick joke anyway.
It's not a sick joke. How do you get down from an elephant?
Well, you climb down off an elephant.
No, you don't. You get down from a swan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off his feathers.
Yes. You see,
Yeah.
it's a pun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right then. Well, what I'd like to say, Tommy, is
Yes.
I wish that this was a wonderful hour because where I'm phoning you from now, there are two swans on the river, and to me they are just absolutely beautiful. There is no other way I can describe them. They're just
Yes,
absolutely
there is. There are lots of other words you could use to describe them.
I believe that one of them, the female, I believe that she could be pregnant.
What makes you think that?
Just by looking at it, because it's...
In what way does she look different then from if she was barren?
Because she's more overweight, and she's also having difficulty
You can't tell a
flying
pregnant swan by looking at her.
off. Oh, you can.
You can't even tell a female swan by looking at them.
You can.
Well, what's the
can,
difference
Tommy,
between a
because-
female swan and a male swan then?
Well, the same as what there is with a human being. One's got a...
Yes, but that's below the waterline in swans.
Yes, but you can see it when they're
No,
taking
you
off or
can't.
when
No,
they're
you can't.
landing.
No, you can't. No, the reproductive organs of all birds are internal.
And also, Tommy, did you know the symbol for the love heart?
For?
For the heart, love heart.
Yeah.
Did you know that is originated from the swans as well?
No, I didn't, no.
You know where the wings come into each other on the back?
Yeah.
If you look very, very closely, you will see that actually resembles.
You really are. You are a font of all sorts
Tommy,
of interesting information, aren't you?
I've studied swans.
You have
for over 2 years, and like I said, if this was a wonderful hour,
you're probably a bit of an expert on swans.
No, not particularly.
Well, more than most people.
I'm just that sort of person that
you are.
If I see a swan on the river,
you know,
I like to stay and I like to watch it, and if it's got chicks, that I just like to sit and...
Chicks?
Well...
You've studied them for 2 years?
Yeah, well...
And they're chicks?
Yeah, that's what they call them.
Is that right?
Yes.
I did not know that.
And also, did you know that...
Here we go.
Swans, the male and female...
Yeah?
They are mates forever. And if one of them dies...
They're promiscuous?
Then the other one has to die.
They're promiscuous?
Yeah.
Right.
And if the male swan dies, then the female swan will find somewhere to die quietly.
Excellent.
And I'd just like to say that you are completely wrong, and you are...
Well, you put me right. You put me right, Andy, and your superior knowledge of the subject, I must admit, has daunted and overwhelmed me, and I'm quite prepared to admit that.
But Tommy, I've listened to you for ages, and I've listened to you slagging off animals and things, and sometimes I wonder if it is a wind-up.
Well...
it's the first time that I've actually spoken to you, and to be really honest...
You've run rings around me.
What you said about swans, using them for dinner and saying that they're ugly, to be honest, I'm surprised that anybody's phoned up, because honestly to God, they are just absolutely beautiful.
But you do get a lovely duvet out of them, wouldn't you?
Yes, you would, because...
You would.
Their feathers are very, very warm.
And have you ever had a swan's egg omelette?
No.
I'm told it. Well, you can eat eggs. Vegetarians can.
Yeah, but I won't eat swan.
But no, I'm not saying. I'm saying, but you can have an omelette made out of a swan's egg. Apparently.
No. No. Sorry, Tommy.
Little bit of pepper.
No.
Andy, it's delightful talking to you.
Yeah.
And do the couple that you're looking at right now, do they have any chicks?
No, not at the moment. Right. But probably within maybe 2 weeks to a month.
2 weeks to a month. Lovely talking to you, sir. Thank you for your call.
And you, Tommy.
What a nice man. What an expert. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Anne has called from Hertford, and she wanted to say, although she was racing through, so she's left a message, it's a myth that swans mate for life. Like Frenchmen, they are at it all the time, and will couple with anything that has webbed feet. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's talk to Steve, who's calling from Hemel Hempstead. You're
well.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Swans.
Yeah.
They decimate rivers.
Oh, terrible, aren't they?
They do decimate rivers. I mean, I am an animal lover, don't get me wrong.
No.
But I'm also a fisherman.
Marvellous.
And we've got a stretch of river in Wiltshire.
Yeah.
It's only about 400 yards long.
How beautiful.
You get a flock of 60-plus swans on there, and they will literally eat every bit of ranunculus weed that's in there.
Yeah.
And totally kill a river off.
Yeah, like locusts.
Yeah, I mean, when they defecate, it's all the nutrients that go into the water as well that people don't realise. I mean, they are a beautiful-looking creature, don't get me wrong, but they do more damage than good. And all the people that say they've been attacked by swans or they're hissed or everything else, I bet 90% of them are approaching swans leading up to or during the mating period.
Yes.
When they're going to be overprotective anyway.
They are. That rather excuses it, doesn't it? So I can't see how that's ammunition, considering your argument.
Well, no, it's just
that we should go get swans.
I mean, I wouldn't dare eat a swan. I wouldn't dare kill a swan. But I mean, my point, not argument, is that they do decimate. They do more harm than good.
Yeah. See, almost everybody, when they see a spider coming down on a thin thread as they're driving along round a roundabout, almost everybody goes, "Oh!" Okay. And then at the same time, almost everybody, when they see a swan going along, they go, "Ah." And we're taught this when we're little, you see.
Well, that's right. But again, I mean, the people that have phoned up are valid points all round. But how many of them in their younger youth?
Well, what about the last bloke, the swan expert? He thought baby swans are called chicks.
I think they're called cygnets.
Of course they are. Everybody knows that, except swan experts.
And if as he said, that they mate for life,
yes.
I can assure him they don't.
No, they don't. Not that we judge them for that.
No,
because there's nothing wrong in the animal kingdom with a little bit of putting it about.
No, fair play.
Fair play. Fair play to swans.
Fair play to swans.
What's a female swan called?
A hen.
Is she?
No, it's not. It's the male's a cob.
Yeah, that's right. And the female's?
It's got me. No, it's gone.
An old cow.
Yeah.
No, I'm speculating. It's not...
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yes.
You're probably
true.
Right. There's a newcomer to the radio station. Brilliant.
Are you?
Yeah.
Where did you used to listen?
Everywhere and... Well, everything and everywhere.
No, you're a twiddler.
Yes, I suppose I am, really, but I've had it on for the last 3 days. I think it's brilliant.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you very much
Don't
indeed,
tell
Tom.
too many people about this show, because if it starts getting mainstream, then I'll have to do things that you have to do if you're mainstream, and that would tax me, so keep it, I'm not saying make it a secret, but don't go on.
No, we'll keep it hush-hush.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Tommy.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Till the next time. Number's free call, 0500 10 53 89. It's payback time for Swans on Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. If you've just joined us, we're sorting out what we think about swans. We've got the animal kingdom right where we want it, except for swans. We've sorted out wolves and rabbits and foxes in this country, and we treat chickens, pigs, cows, horses, dogs, cats, you name it, exactly as well as a democracy the majority of us believe they should be treated. But not swans, no. They are treated entirely specially in law and in folklore. They are not the most beautiful animal on earth, and there is absolutely no justification for them having royal protection. They're a nightmare for our darling fishermen, aren't they? They are ugly. They are not only nasty looking, they are dangerous, spiteful creatures. We're taught as children, how beautiful are these things that will break your arm with the beat of its wing? And who'd be a dog if there's a swan around? Let's talk to Paul, who calls from Chorley. Paul, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello, Tommy.
Paul.
The thieves and the muggers.
Thieves and muggers?
Yes.
Quite right.
Right. Picture the scene here, right? We're up in the Lake District, side of a river. Me and my wife, 3 children. Little picnic going. And there's a few other people around having their picnics. On came 3 or 4 swans. They started hissing, flapping their wings at people, frightening them, and running off with the jack bit off the picnic tables.
No.
Yeah.
No.
How's that?
Again, if a pack of dogs did that, then there'd be marksmen out looking for them, wouldn't there? Wouldn't there? It's appalling, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. You can't believe it from them up there. Yeah, it's true. That.
Well, you got the swans on the one hand and the royal family on the other hand. And, the royal family's powers have been curtailed down the centuries with threat of the guillotine or whatever, or just decent argument, but swans have been left alone.
Yeah.
We've got to bring them into line.
They're a nasty animal, all the way around. And a female swan's called a pen, by the way.
A pen?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I'm led to believe, anyhow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your call. Barry is next in Great Dunmow. You're on Talk Radio. Barry. Barry, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Swans, I agree with you wholeheartedly. They're horrible, they're murderous, they're the most toxic things that have ever swum, walked or flown. Well, they're terrible things. They kill ducklings.
I bet they do.
I'm telling you that, I've seen it done.
For what?
For bread.
They
Doctor's Pond.
What?
Doctor's Pond in Great Dunmow.
Yeah.
Where the very first lifeboat was tested, apparently, although it's only about 4 foot deep.
Is that right?
Oh, there's a plaque up.
That wouldn't have sunk then, would it?
No, it would have saved a lot of ducklings. That's probably what it was there for, saving ducklings. We'd go down there, feed the geese, feed the ducks, feed the geese, feed the ducks.
Yes.
The swans come up and drown the ducklings. They do.
Hideous creatures, aren't they?
They are disgusting. They make a mess. They're worse than dogs with the mess they make.
Yeah.
And they can drop it on you from about 60 feet.
I know, that phrase as loose as a goose, Can you imagine what a swan's is like?
Oh, dear, as gone as a swan. They are horrible, foul creatures. Also, you were talking about eating swan's eggs a little while ago.
Yes?
My uncle used to poach them.
Did he?
In both senses of the word. You go up to the nest while one of the parent birds is absent.
Yes.
And there's 8 or 10 of them there, so there's 10. You mark 8 of them and steal 2.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, and then the pen,
I
don't know about called a pen, they ought to be kept in them.
Yes.
They replace them the next day, and you go back and you always know which are the fresh 2.
I just have to say something here, because otherwise...
it is illegal, and nobody would ever do it, but I'm sure they taste delicious.
You've
never seen yolks like them.
There are people listening to the radio who honestly believe, this is what really annoys me, There's people who listen to the radio who really believe that other people will go out and do anything they hear on the radio.
Mm.
And it was the same if you do children's television. You know, you show a man balancing on a tightrope strung across Niagara Falls, and you have to say, don't try that at home, as if, you know, children might, because they're not that stupid, you see.
It's the digging the Niagara Falls that'd get them, isn't it?
But I still have to say, you know, it's illegal, you know that. And,
it is illegal, and just because they're the biggest, glorious, richest yolks you will ever taste, I wouldn't recommend anybody to do it, and the fact that it will cut down on the swan population as well. I think it's a disgusting habit.
I'm sure they're I'm sure someone will ring up and say that they are threatened creatures.
They are around my way.
Exactly. These animals which will break your arm with a beat of their wing, and which will have your eye out with their bill, and which kill ducklings and go for your dog, and probably have brought down plenty of aeroplanes. You think about all the unexplained air crashes that you get from time to time. And helicopters.
UFO.
So, boom, like that, and pilot error. I don't think so. Yeah.
In a litter-strewn pond, got all them glittery crisp bags on their heads, go for a fly around. Yeah. Oh, it's a UFO. I've been abducted by it, and they were probably only after you pack lunch.
Exactly. And you flick a peanut at them, and they're a threatened species. You can't do that.
All I've got to say is if anybody ever has to throw a screwed-up Coke can into a pond, you know where to throw it.
Barry, it has been interesting gaining insight to what you know about swans, which is a lot. I'm grateful for you calling. Thank you.
I love you.
And I love you too. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Talk to Tommy Boyd. Free call 0500 1053 89.
Shaking up our thinking about swans. Steve calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Steve.
Hello?
Steve.
Oh, hello, yeah. I'd just like to echo that bloke before you, Barry. He said about they're so messy.
Yes.
Well, I actually drive a lifeboat up on the Thames, and we've got a certain slipway, which will remain nameless, which we use to launch our boats.
Yeah.
And it's completely covered with swans, and there's about a 20 square metre area full of swan defecation everywhere. And as soon as we reverse our vehicle with a boat to launch it, and we have to sort of like move them, I sometimes give a few blasts on the siren, all the people start going, oh, look at them, look at them scaring the swans away.
Oh, the poor
realise that we're launching the boat.
Yeah, to save a person.
To go to save somebody.
Mind
and
the
also,
swan.
if we do get a call while we're on the river, and we have to make a dash for it, we have to really concentrate on not actually hitting one of these things, because the public opinion, if anyone actually saw us do it, would just be horrendous.
Yes, of course it would. I mean, it'd be more than your job's worth, wouldn't it, to annoy a swan?
Well, it would be, you know. There's crowds of people there as well, feeding them all the time, you know, and I don't know, they've also got this sort of like really arrogant look to them.
Swans?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
Sort of really arrogant.
They have. They look like badly proportioned female magistrates to me.
That's right, yeah. They're sort of, I mean, I don't dislike animals or anything like that. If my wife was to actually hear me now, she'd probably throttle me. But, you know, there's just something so sort of snobby about them and arrogant. And, you know, I don't know, it's as if they know that you can't touch them.
Yes. Well, and because we feed them all that white bread. And I wonder what makes swan lovers think that all swans want to eat is white bread.
Yeah.
Has anybody tried them with fruit?
Well,
or fish. I mean, they eat fish. Aren't they supposed to eat fish? What do they eat? Fish.
I don't really know a lot about swans. All I know is that they get in our way.
And pondweed.
Yeah.
Tadpoles.
You know, they're welcome to that.
Exactly.
But, as I say, they're just a hindrance to me personally.
Right, and it's no good for the roses.
I wouldn't know.
It's worth a try, isn't it? I don't know, it's worth a try. Mark, Steve, I beg your pardon, I'm grateful for your call.
Yeah, thank you.
Mark is next in Leigh-on-Sea. You're on Talk Radio. Mark.
Oh, hello, Tommy.
Hello.
In the late 60s, I attended a lecture by a renowned historian about the benefits of the Industrial Revolution and how it made the nation more hygienic. Now, we discussed, amongst other things, drains and sewers and cotton underwear. And I asked, what about toilet paper? When did that come in?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, the poor used whatever was to hand, such as grass, leaves, pieces of old cloth. But the preferred method of the rich was to use swans' necks. And to this day, I don't know whether he was telling the truth or joking.
Well, it's got all the credentials, hasn't it?
It would certainly account for the protection of swans by royalty.
Yes, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. And of course, they need to keep a supply of fresh swans, because I would have thought that by the time rigor mortis had set in, a swan neck would be of less use for that, wouldn't it? You want it flexible, really, don't you?
I prefer not to go into too much detail, but that's what I was told anyway.
Well, I don't like your sort of sudden indignation at the idea that your piece of information can be taken down market, Mark. Do you?
Well, Tommy, thank you for hearing it out anyway.
Not at all. So they were.
May I say how much I enjoy your show, particularly when people do things like Michael Caine accents.
Yes, that was silly, wasn't it?
Very good indeed.
No, well, you're very kind. I will do that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Not at all. Not at all. So, swans for wiping royal rears, hence the royal protection. Daniel calls from Birmingham, and Daniel, you're on Talk Radio. I think you get the last word on this one. Sir.
Hello, Tom.
Good afternoon.
I think swans are beautiful. Swans are the pinnacle of bird society. They're absolutely beautiful. I tell you, pigeons and cats, that should be, I'm getting my words muddled up. It should be payback for pigeons and cats.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you agree? They're both ugly.
Yes.
They eat, breathe, crap everywhere.
Yes.
And cats wreck people's furniture.
And lives.
My conclusion is they both make good dog meat, but we've got to keep the swans.
Daniel, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Payback time for pigeons and cats. They've had a hard enough time of it just recently, it seems to me. Cats have it pretty easy, but, we've read horror stories about how cats go unprotected about the nation. The last word, in fact, will go to Steve in Wolverhampton. Steve, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello there.
Steve.
I'm an angler and a practicing conservationist.
Excellent.
Fish in Scotland, fish all over the world.
Yes.
Swans. During the 60s and 70s, the DDT levels, the pollution of the rivers, naturally declined the population through the country.
Right.
We started to get our act together as a human race, obviously, 70s and 80s, and what concerns me is that they don't readdress these protection levels, and so you get an overpopulation. On the lower stretches of the Hampshire Ave and the Dorset Stour, probably 40% of the swans down there are like ragged old geese. They really are terrible because they're so territorial, and they just end up fighting each other for the territory and the available food, and they're quite a disgraceful sight to see. As the lady said earlier, they will just sit on the back of another one, peck it to death, they'll rip it to pieces. But I wouldn't want to see them decline to any point of extinction level, so I think it's just addressing the balance.
A rich and important set of views, Steve, to round the programme off, and I'm grateful. So, as we've heard, swans are controversial birds. It's not just riverboatmen and anglers who are saying the time is right to fight back, but is equality, or the lack of it, among animals a human matter? Surely the animal kingdom is best left to regulate itself, as it has done for millions of years. It seems the problem with swans is their human status, both in law and folklore. And as we heard, there's an inescapable politicisation of the issue, because equality is a political matter. Basically, if you are a centre-rightist, you support the swan's status quo and the right to judge superficial beauty. If you are centre-left, then you're astonished that royal privilege should extend to something which tastes good and can be turned into a top-notch duvet. Who is right? As always, the decision is yours to take. Take it easy, but take it.
Across the UK, this is Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm bored with this. You bored with this? I'm bored with this. Exactly.
This is definitely not Bob putting a funny voice on. Click like and subscribe to the Tommy Boyd Shrine YouTube channel, and we may get more Bob Staunton. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am going to stick laxatives in Tommy Boyd's coffee. If he won't call it quits, I'll make him strain with the squits.